Arsen Zhumadilov, thank you so much for joining us on TVP World. I want to start very simply with your role as the director of the Defense Procurement Agency. A lot of people watching this might not realize the scale of the transformation Ukraine's armed forces have gone through, not just since 22, but if you look at the armed forces in 2014, when your native Crimea was annexed, they are unrecognizable compared to what we have today. When you were appointed, the defense minister said your goal was to make procurement of weapons, ammunition, and equipment as efficient, transparent, and fast as possible. We've spoken to soldiers who need equipment, they need it quickly, the war changes quickly. What are you doing to help them?
We do make sure that the procurement that we are responsible for is as efficient and transparent and quick as possible, as fast as possible. It's not an easy task to accomplish, to be honest. Why so? Because the procurement that we are responsible for is enormous. We have a very lengthy list of products. Some of them are not easily accessible. Some of them are produced for months or even years. So you have to make sure that there is a proper system in place that can address all the issues. And this is what we are about. We are putting probably I would say one of the best procurement systems in the Western world that is 100% relevant to the challenges of the front line nowadays. And it is a different one from what it was even 15, 20 years ago when wars in the Middle East were waged by NATO countries.
Explain to us a little bit how that works. If we are soldiers on the front line, we need a certain type of drone, we need it quickly. You know better than anybody how quickly the technology changes in this war. Yes. And how the technological advantage is essential, is an important battle in and of itself. How does that system work to make sure these soldiers get what they need really quickly?
One of the solutions that we have is that we have put in place a marketplace. It's think of Amazon for the military, and so this is the way it works. So the soldiers at the front line, they actually can get online into the marketplace that we run. It is of course a closed one, you cannot access it publicly, and you can there see the list of products that is easily available for you. They can see not just the list of products, but also the availability at the stocks, the duration of the delivery time that they will have once they order the product. So what we make sure is that we hear their requests, and make sure that we satisfy it very quickly. So we cannot afford having a loop that takes weeks, months, sometimes years from when we heard the request from a soldier, then it goes upwards to the brigade level, then it goes to the military command level, then it goes to the general staff, then from that one it goes to the Ministry of Defense. The Ministry of Defense gives the task to us. As you can imagine, to close this circuit, you will need probably at least a couple of months. And the thing is, the scenery at the front line changes sometimes in a few weeks' time. So when you bring the product to the front line, if it goes through that channel, it takes ages. To the contrast, when we are talking about the system is called .chain defense. When we are talking about this marketplace, it takes from 1 to 2 weeks for a soldier to get what he or she really needs.
Can you explain that system to us for those frontline soldiers who need something quickly? How do they get it faster? Yeah. The process in the past was slow for them, too slow. How are you making it quicker?
The process in the past was too slow. It was about conventional, so to say, very usual weaponry that everybody knows that for you to fight a war, you will need this many tanks, this many infantry vehicles, this many guns, machine guns, etc. And for that, you need to make your orders 12 months before you get the product, and it is perfectly fine. So you can plan for a long run, and when the goods are delivered, they are perfectly fine and they're very well received by the soldiers. This is not the case now. The case now is that the scenery at the front line is changing so fast, so rapidly, that if you are late for a couple of months, probably the product that you're bringing to the front line is no longer needed, or it is not needed in the, so to say, in the specification or in the configuration that you are bringing it. Okay, so it will probably change. The need of the soldiers at the front line will change. So the way we address the problem is that we have created a marketplace. Think of it as an Amazon for the military, where the military, they can go online. It is of course not a public service. It is run by us in a confidential ecosystem that is highly protected. So they go online, they see the list of products that is available, they see the stocks at producers so that they understand what quantity is available for them, and they also see delivery times. So they fully understand what is it that they can order so that they get it quickly and they get exactly what they really need. We have started this. It has already proven to be a major success. This is something that has actually been closely followed by our allies in the West, and there was a news just a couple of weeks ago that in the US they're thinking of starting something similar to that, because they understand that the front line is not the way it was.
One new development, maybe in the last few hours, maybe in the last couple of days, is the announcement that Ukraine has produced its own cruise missile, it seems, Flamingo as it's being called. Can you give us any more information? They were talking about a 3,000 kilometer range, which would be about double what Tomahawk can do. I assume you cannot give us much detail, but with what you can say, how much of a game changer could this be for Ukraine?
I would say that this is not the first cruise missile that Ukraine has developed, but the one that you mentioned, it is a very good product indeed.
Good product. I think that's all we're going to get from you on that. I want to shift to international support. Obviously, you're in charge of all procurement, so there will be a lot of international relationships that are essential for Ukraine. Production has shifted to more homegrown, of course, and you're trying, my understanding is that you're trying to get as much self-reliance as possible. President Zelensky's heading to the White House, heading to the Oval Office. Last time he was there, didn't go particularly well, and the United States pulled back some of its support shortly thereafter. It's all been restored now. Can you give us a sense of how essential US support is at this stage for Ukraine, and what could happen if the US pulls its support completely?
I'd say that the support of the US is very important. It is essential. We understand that, for example, when it comes to air defense, we're very much dependent on the American products, be it like whether they are given as an aid or we buy it with our funds or the funds of our European partners. So in any case, the products that are produced in the US when it comes to air defense are very much important to us. When it comes to your question, like whether it is crucial so that if it stops, we will have to stop the war, I can't say that it is necessarily the right optics, so to say, because why so? Like 3.5 years ago, we were in a much worse shape than we are now, and still we did not surrender then. We fought back. Now we are in much better shape. So many things are being produced locally here. The European partners have really ramped up their support to us through various channels, be it in-kind support or financial support, the so-called Danish model. Whatever the model, whatever the channel is there, our European partners are using it. This is why, like 3.5 years in this war, I can't say that like support of any given country is is a game changer, so to say. So we will be fighting back. Of course, the cost for our country, for our people, will certainly rise if the Americans stop their support. And the bad news is that the cost will probably be incurred by the civilians, because when we are talking about air defense, first and foremost, we are talking about defending peaceful cities in inner Ukraine, so to say. And it will be, of course, a big tragedy if we will not be able to defend ourselves from the air.
We heard Donald Trump's current CIA director, when he was confirmed, he said, "I believe that the Ukrainians will fight with their bare hands if they have to." So I think that goes a little bit to what you were saying, that the idea, the will to keep fighting.
We have already, we have fought with our bare hands. Now we have our hands, equipped and well prepared with guns and whatever we need to fight back.
I want to ask you a slightly more personal question. You are from Crimea, and therefore this will have been affecting you much longer perhaps than many people realize. I want to talk to you about something that Donald Trump has said just in the last few hours in a post on Truth Social, as is often the way of communicating. He said, first of all, that President Zelensky can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants, or he can continue to fight. I'm not going to ask you about the high-level politics. That's not your job. Remember how it started. No getting back Obama given Crimea 12 years ago without a shot being fired, and no going into NATO for Ukraine. Just the point about Crimea, as someone who is from there, this idea that there is no way it's ever coming back to Ukrainian sovereignty. How does that make you feel, and what's your message for Donald Trump?
Let me put it this way. I am confident that if Ukraine withstands this war, if it keeps its sovereignty, if it is accepted to the club of the Western countries, so to say, if we stand side by side with our European and American partners, sooner or later, Russia will have to give away all the territories that it has illegally occupied, including Crimea. I'm not saying that it must happen this year. I'm not saying that it must happen next year. I'm saying that in a long run, maybe it will take a few more years, maybe it will take a few more, even decades, I'd say, Russia will have to give all the territories away. I'm not even sure about the future of that country, of that state, because it is one of the last empires in the world. It functions as an empire. It's not self-sustainable. Now it looks like a nuclear reactor which is very much heated, and what they want is either to to push forward because this is the way they now have been working so far, or they need some time and space to cool down nicely. But I think that there are very high risks that they will not be able to cool down. The people in Russia are frustrated, they are poor, very many killed, questions will be asked. I'm not sure whether the government will be able to answer them.
A final question for me. We were talking earlier about the position that Ukraine is in. It sounded to me from what you were saying that Ukraine is perhaps in the strongest position it's been for a long time, at least when it comes to procurement. There are manpower issues. There have always been manpower issues. Would you say that's a fair assessment? Ukraine is now in a stronger position than ever in this war?
Well, I would say that we have robust systems when it comes to fighting this war, okay? And it includes, procurement, but not just procurement. I would say that Ukraine has really made a great progress. We are no way like what we were in 2014, even in 2022. We are much more developed in terms of our institutional capacity to fight this war, including procurement.
Arsen Zhumadilov, thank you so much for speaking to us on TVP World.
Thank you.